I guess the only thing that surprised me was that people can still be surprised by anything that happens. And I also note the selective outrage of the religious right, because he has displayed far worse non-Christian behavior than this. But this AI image was the deal breaker? Oh, come on, give me a break. And then he picked a fight with the Pope. The Pope. Hello again. Welcome to the Ruthless Truth. I am your host, Truth Davis. In this forum, I share opinions, thoughts, truths on a wide variety of topics based on what I believe to be a unique life experience. And you can read the details about that in the notes or in the bio. My intent is to share stories and experiences and hopefully provide some life and career lessons that will help you on your journey. Please follow me on Instagram at TruthDavis5, subscribe to the YouTube channel Ruthless Truth, and there's also a Facebook page, Ruthless Truth. General format, I'll share some initial commentary on current news or just some thoughts. Then I'll have a deeper discussion on one topic, which will be today's truth. And then I like to finish with an American history fun fact. Okay. So much going on in the world. And it might be a bit of a surprise to you, but I am not going to say much about the war or the president. And you may be wondering, didn't you see the feud with the Pope and the AI generated image of the president as Jesus? Of course I saw it. I guess the only thing that surprised me was that people can still be surprised by anything that happens. And I also note the selective outrage of the religious right, because he has displayed far worse non-Christian behavior than this. But this AI image was the deal breaker? Oh, come on, give me a break. And then he picked a fight with the Pope. The Pope. Really? I guess he decided he wanted to go to jail and he didn't want to wait in line with everybody else. But you know, the Pope was unfazed. He basically said, "You have no power here. Be gone before someone drops a house on you." So just hear me on this. There is nothing, I mean absolutely nothing, that the president can do or say that would surprise me. This elevator has no bottom floor. But I will share one observation. In the Jesus depiction, there were several other people included in the image. Did you notice that not one of them was a person of color? But this is consistent with his view of the world, where he sees himself as the savior and the only people who matter are white. Okay, moving on. For my listeners in the U.S., I hope everyone got their taxes filed on time. Apparently, refunds are higher this year due to some of the credits from the big bill passed last year. A quick comment on refunds. I realize that for people, and a lot of people, this is a welcomed and positive event. It's like, whoo, I just got a check. But please recognize, all you are getting is your own money returned to you. Meanwhile, the government was holding your money for a year and not paying you any interest on it. So now they're just giving it back to you. From a financial standpoint, you're better off owing the IRS at tax time, meaning you were holding your money and their money for some period of time. But I get it. Most people are not disciplined savers or don't have the cash reserves to write a big check in April. So it's easier and somewhat of a relief to know you won't need to write a check. But just know, it's not a bonus. It was always your money. Okay, staying with the IRS. As part of the reduction in federal jobs, the IRS has reduced its tax enforcement team by 39% from the totals during the Biden administration. These are the people who perform audits and catch the tax cheats. Interestingly, it's one of the few departments of government that pays for itself, as the tax revenue recovered from the cheaters far exceeds the expense of the department. But given these reductions, many rich people now are emboldened to cut corners on their tax returns. Their attitude is, I don't think the IRS can catch me. And you know what? They're probably right. Remember, the wealthy have the smartest lawyers and tax advisors. Again, the rich keep getting richer. In a recent episode, I discussed the impact of AI on the career paths of Generation Z, as many traditional entry-level corporate jobs are being replaced by AI. I also noticed the promising and plentiful prospects of pursuing careers in industries that can't be replaced by AI, such as human resources, nursing, and the skilled trades. Well, related to this, I wanted to share a recent and interesting announcement from Lowe's Home Improvement. The home improvement giant exclusively told Fortune magazine that its foundation is investing $250 million over the next decade to help train 250,000 skilled trade workers in fields like plumbing, carpentry, and electrical work. The company had previously committed over $50 million to nonprofits and community college partners, but according to Lowe's CEO Marvin Ellison, the shifting dynamics of the workforce have made skilled trades funding essential to the country's future. He said, "We're a company that believes strongly in the future of AI, but in a world where administrative and analytical occupations are going to be increasingly dominated with the acceleration of AI, we think the Skilled Trades Initiative is going to be even more important here in the near future." And a quick note on Marvin Ellison. He is one of only 10 black CEOs in the Fortune 500, and he is the only black man in history to have done this twice, as he was previously CEO of JCPenney. Mr. Ellison grew up in Hayward County, Tennessee, just outside of Memphis, in a poor rural household where his parents were sharecroppers. From there, he received his bachelor's degree from the University of Memphis, my hometown, and his MBA from Emory University, my alma mater. He is a true example of the American dream. Also, I want to welcome the U.S. House of Representatives back to Washington, D.C. I hope you enjoyed your 2-week spring break. Hopefully, you will hit the ground running and start doing at least some of your job. The government is still in a partial shutdown, by far the longest in the history of the country. And while TSA officers are currently receiving paychecks, this is only because of a stopgap emergency funding. The issue is still unresolved. I'm hopeful during your time on the beach or wherever you enjoyed your time off, you took some time to think about the plight of U.S. consumers in general and the TSA officers in particular. My God, find a compromise and a solution, please. There are so many other domestic issues that need your attention. Get this out of the way and let's move forward. Now, I know that many of the GOP are fearful of the president, but there will come a day, and that day is coming soon, that you will be more afraid of voters than you are of the president. Don't wait too late to address the concerns of the everyday voters, or come January, you will be one of them. And let me end this segment on a positive note. I know a lot of people are feeling despair these days. Hell, I feel it. I would love to just ignore the news and live in a bubble because there's so much negativity. And I hate the feeling of helplessness. The feeling that I see so many things that are wrong and it doesn't seem we can do anything about it. But then I reflect on U.S. history and I take comfort in this. The Republic will survive. While these are tumultuous times, this is not the first time the country has faced challenges or turmoil, be it cultural, financial, criminal, or militarily. We had the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Civil Rights Movement, multiple assassinations in the 60s, Vietnam, Watergate, the oil crisis of the 70s, the dot-com bubble, the global financial crisis of 2008, and of course 9/11. And there were other events and downtimes. But the country always recovered and continued to thrive. So, I know today, for some of you, it feels like the downfall of the United States. But this time too will pass. The Republic will survive, and we will all soon enjoy better times. The USA turns 250 years old this summer. We'll just keep going. Okay, let's get to today's truth. Today's truth. Now, I just stated that I truly believe the Republic will survive. That said, we still have to make it through these current times where the economy is volatile and uncertain. So in today's truth, I want to address the current state of consumer spending and the runaway debt trends that are only getting worse. Okay, first some basic economics. Despite the White House's claims that the current administration rescued the U.S. economy, from hell, the fact is the United States has had the world's #1 economy as measured by GDP every year for the past 25 years. And why has our economy been so resilient? Because nearly 70% of the U.S. economy is driven by consumer spending. Now, there's good and bad in this. It's good that U.S. consumers have maintained high spending levels, helping to propel and sustain the economy. And affluent and wealthy consumers continue to increase spending as their behavior is totally unaffected by inflation. The bad news is that lower income and younger consumers are going into debt to maintain their spending levels. As of 2026, U.S. credit card debt is at an all-time high of $1.3 trillion. Another sign, loan delinquencies for credit cards, automobiles, and mortgages are also at all-time highs. Compounding the issue is that the cost of debt continues to surge. Many consumers hold credit cards now with interest rates exceeding 20%. Mortgages remain above 6%. And due to astronomical increases in college tuition, current student loan debt holders carry balances far greater than previous generations. And finally, inflation and hidden fees are making everything more expensive. Now, you're probably aware that the price of food and other services have remained stubbornly high. And this is not even considering the impact of the war in Iran. But what you may have not noticed is the increasing prevalence of surcharges. A J.D. Power study released in 2025 found that 34% of merchants were adding credit card surcharges. And a fifth of restaurant operators now add fees or surcharges to customer checks, according to a 2025 report from the National Restaurant Association. And that's up from 16% in 2022. Consumers tend to pay less attention to surcharges than to base prices, said Vicki Morowitz, a marketing professor at Columbia University. Okay, while you may not be able to control the increase in prices, you do have control over what you choose to spend. So, why aren't people cutting spending? And if they do want to cut spending, how should they do it? While I cannot address every aspect of this issue here, I will provide 3 to 4 guidelines to help you get on the path of more responsible spending and avoiding crippling long-term debt. Because the first step in financial independence is eliminating debt. Now, to be fair, it's expected that you will have some debt in your 20s and likely into your mid-30s. And this is because income rises over time. And it may take a decade or more for your income to increase to the point that it exceeds your expenses and debt obligations. I remember the first financial book I ever purchased. The first chapter focused on eliminating debt. It took me 10 years to get to chapter 2. That said, regardless of age, you should always be conscious of debt and diligently working to avoid it, or at least achieve debt reduction. All right, how do we do it? Well, first, quantify your monthly expenses. These are the expenses you pay every month, and this excludes one-time or occasional purchases like shopping, travel, or dining out. No, I'm talking about rent, mortgage, transportation, utilities, insurance, food, telecommunications, childcare, debt payments, and taxes. Write them down and then add them up. Now, compare this number to your take-home pay. How much is left over? Are you even making enough to cover living expenses? If not, you need to either downsize or find incremental income, as you are now on a guaranteed path of debt accumulation. Second, try to live within your means. Now, I know this is hard, and for several reasons. I mean, if you spend any time on social media, it may seem like you're missing out and everybody is having a wonderful life but you. But just remember, much of what you see is not real or it's greatly exaggerated. And again, only 6% of American millionaires are under the age of 40. Young people aren't balling. Also, the more time you spend on social media, the unhappier you will be. And that is a fact. The other challenge of living within your means is it's so easy to live above your means. So try to avoid, the creative payment options that, while providing you satisfaction today, will create financial problems for you in the future. For example, if you're in the market to buy a car, be wary of financing arrangements that solely focus on getting you a low payment. You need to pay even more attention to the interest rate and the terms. A popular option today is the 7-year loan. In fact, nearly 1 in 4 new car buyers now select a 7-year loan, and that's up from only 10% just 10 years ago. Under these terms, the average total financing cost exceeds $47,000, meaning many buyers will essentially buy the car twice and often find themselves underwater at the end of the loan period. Also, beyond cars, try to avoid buy now, pay later programs. Now, I certainly understand the appeal of BNPL provides consumers with an alternative, low-cost payment option to manage their finances at a time when prices are on the rise. I get that. And while most buy now, pay later loans don't charge interest, they do charge late fees. And these fees vary by lender. Now, they rarely exceed $10 per late installment, but if you're juggling multiple BNPL loans and a tight budget is the main reason why you miss payment, the added strain of a late fee is only going to make it harder to get caught up. And that's according to Money Management International. And that appears to be the trend. A new Lending Tree survey found that 41% of buy now, pay later users made at least one late payment in the past year. And that's up from 34% previously, with many borrowers using BNPL for everyday expenses rather than occasional splurges. And finally, prioritize your spending. What's most important to you? Using myself as an example, I don't spend much on cars. My current car is almost 9 years old. And if you've seen my YouTube channel, you know I don't spend a lot of money on clothes. But when I travel, I want to be comfortable. So I will spend more for hotel accommodations. So you need to take self-inventory and decide what matters most to you and align your spending accordingly. And from a macro perspective, we're seeing some shifts in areas that prior generations considered big investments, such as home purchases. Gen Z is investing quite a bit in experiences rather than things or assets. They don't appear to be driven by the desire to own a home. And they're also spending money on micro experiences. I mean, they're willing to pay for the cup of coffee that brings them joy at the beginning of the day. Or they're willing to invest in nutrition, which they view as important. Again, comes down to personal preference. Just be aware and make conscious decisions about your spending choices. Look, I know times are tough, and things will get better in time. They always do. But it is never too early to start taking control of your financial life. And step one in that journey is getting your spending under control. Now, I know delayed gratification sucks. You want to have fun while you're young and have the energy to enjoy it. But believe me, you'll have plenty of time for that later. And you don't want to be one of those people who peaked in their 20s, because I see that all the time. Try embracing this principle. Your dreams should be grander than your memories. Okay, let's get to today's American history fun fact. Today's American history fun fact. In today's American history fun fact, I want to tell the story of a Memphis entrepreneur and civic leader who founded one of the first and largest Black-owned insurance companies in the nation. And he did more. Joseph Edison Walker was born on March 31st, 1879 in Tilma, Mississippi. His parents were George and Patsy Walker, who worked as sharecroppers on a cotton plantation. Now, in 1903, Walker graduated from Alcorn College in Lorman, Mississippi, and then he received his medical degree from Harry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee. Upon graduation, Walker returned to Mississippi, where he started a medical practice in Indianola, which is about 130 miles south of Memphis. He worked there from 1906 to 1919. Also in 1906, Joseph Walker married Layla O'Neill, and they had two children, Johnetta Walker and Antonio Mayfield Walker, both born in Indianola. Now, while working in the Mississippi Delta, Dr. Walker was part of a growing community of Black businessmen and professionals, and they looked to develop businesses to serve the local Black community. So in 1912, he was selected as president of the Delta Penny Savings Bank, one of the businesses started by the Black Business Group. Then in 1917, Dr. Walker was elected president of the Mississippi Life Insurance Company. And in 1920, the company moved to Memphis, Tennessee. Then, in 1923, Walker, A.W. Willis, and Dr. J.T. Wilson established Universal Life Insurance Company in Memphis. Under Walker's leadership, the company, known as ULICO, became the second African-American company in the United States to attain million-dollar capital status, and was described as one of the, quote, 10 top Negro-owned and operated enterprises in the world, and as the cornerstone of Negro business, enterprise, and financial initiative in the entire Mid-South. Walker served as president until 1952. Additionally, during his tenure at Universal Life, Walker, along with his 37-year-old son, A. Mayfield Walker, founded Tri-State Bank of Memphis. They believed that Blacks needed more opportunity to get loans and to develop new businesses, as well as for their personal lives. In that segregated society, Blacks were discriminated against by white-owned banks. So Dr. Walker was named the bank's first president and served in that role until his death in 1958. Tri-State Bank was a historical institution and a source of pride for the Memphis Black community. Tri-State served the community for decades until its acquisition by New Orleans-based Liberty Bank and Trust, and that was in 2021. In addition to his business ventures, Dr. Joseph Walker was very active in the civic affairs of Memphis from the time of his arrival in 1920. In 1922, he formed Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church. Later, he financed and built the Walker Home subdivision in South Memphis. He also was active in organizations to support businessmen He organizing the Memphis Negro Chamber of Commerce in 1926, which published directories of black businesses. That year, he was elected president of the National Negro Insurance Association. And Dr. Walker established a good reputation among businessmen in other areas. I mean, in 1939, he was elected president of the National Negro Business League, and he used all of his contacts to create opportunities for other black businessmen. Now, tragically, on July 28, 1958, Dr. Joseph E. Walker was shot to death in his office by Judge Washington Hamilton, a former deacon of Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church, the church that Dr. Walker had founded. The two men were once close friends, but their relationship began to sour after Hamilton was unable to pay an $8,000 loan. Hamilton even attacked Dr. Walker with a cane in April of 1956, but Dr. Walker refused to press charges against him or hire a bodyguard. Walker's death was widely reported in the media. Journalists estimate that 35,000 people came to view his casket as his body laid in state. Growing up in Memphis, the Walkers were the first family of the black community. My family also had personal connections, as my mom's first job out of college was at Universal Life Insurance Company. And my dad, who was the first black independent insurance agent in the tri-state area, was able to start and grow his business with the financial support of Tri-State Bank. Dr. Joseph E. Walker, physician, banker, businessman, civic and religious leader, left one of the greatest legacies in the history of Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, that's all I have for you today on The Ruthless Truth. Thank you so much for listening. I encourage you to review and listen to past episodes. There's a wide variety of topics, and I'm sure you'll find something of interest. Please continue to follow me on Instagram at TruthDavis5. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ruthless Truth, and there's also a Facebook page, Ruthless Truth. Again, thank you, and I will talk to all of you soon.